I'm Mark Henry with McPherson.Tech, and I'm not here to talk to you about people using their phones to text in church, although we know that happens. I'm here talking about putting text on the screen for your service. So if you enjoy this, I'd love for you to go through and subscribe to us at Facebook or YouTube, or you can visit us at McPherson.Tech. Now, when we have text on the screen during the services, usually it's for either scriptures or songs, that type of thing. Now, we can put text up on the screen, no problem. Here you actually see it, but there's some questions. Do we put the text along the bottom, or do we put it at the top? And should we have a background color behind it? Now, you can see here this text is okay, but if we have a pastor in a white robe walking across, it gets a little bit more difficult to see. If I can make it black, again, parts of it are easy or hard to see depending on what's in front of it. That's why I always encourage to go through and have a solid background color put in back of the text. This way it'll always show up, doesn't matter what's on your stage or how the cameras are actually pointed. Because remember, you have volunteers running a lot of the cameras. Now, you've probably heard a lot about the rule of thirds, which talks about how we should go through and position people and how we should position the text, either in the lower third or the upper third of the screen. Now, we're not going to go into a lot on the rule of thirds, but it is something that you can go through and learn a lot more about online. We're going to go through and show you generally how music, text, and scriptures are put up on the screen. Now, music lyrics and other texts are often put across the screen at the bottom, either in a solid white or solid black. That is usually done using something called the Luma effect. That's the same way I can go through and put this little www.mcpherson.tech very easily across the bottom of the screen. Is the Luma effect. Now, it's a very powerful effect, but what I usually use for my church services is called the chroma effect. And that kind of gets back into the way that the weathermen do their weather screens with the green screens behind them and that type of thing. It's good enough for the weathermen, it's good enough for us. So, you notice here, you actually see my face going through a little bit on the green. Going to go through and change that back right here. So the chroma effect is what actually goes through and it removes anything that's on that green is removed from the screen and what's behind it shows through. Now, we've got other presentations on that, but right here you see where we actually have this showing up on our church screen at the front, where when we have scriptures or parts of the sermon, I always have that text across the bottom of the screen. It doesn't have to be a solid color, it can be a texture or a picture like what we kind of see here, but we have that during the service. Now again, in the rule of thirds, that shows up in the lower third of the screen. However, during hymns, I put the lyrics at the top of the screen. People are raising their heads, they're looking up, they're seeing the words at the top of the screen. That's the main thing that is important during this part, is seeing the words at the top. If we have the lyrics at the bottom of the screen, then they're looking straight ahead, they're looking down, and it does not work as well for singing. It doesn't matter if you put your words across the top or the bottom of the screen, just be consistent throughout your services. And just remember, these rules of thirds and other types of rules are just suggestions. You need to be creative in your own way and create a service that's unique to your church. If you have any additional questions about using chroma screens or the Luma effect, let me know. I'm also going to be doing some additional videos on how to use the ATEM Mini and other things that are specialized really for church audiences. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to your questions.